Today, humans can say I love you in hundreds of different ways. Through a message sent at midnight, a heart appearing on a phone screen, a phone call that lasts until sunrise. Never in human history has searching for love and intimacy been this easy. But there is something very strange about modern humans. Even though we are more connected than ever before, we still seem to feel that something deep inside us is missing. Perhaps because for most of human history, love was never expressed through words. It was expressed through someone returning from a hunt after night had already fallen. A person staying awake through the night to keep the fire burning so the tribe could sleep safely. A hand gently touching you in the cold of the savannah, and another body lying beside you in the darkness, close enough to make fear feel just a little smaller. In the primitive world, loving someone was not the romantic feeling we imagine today. Sometimes, it was simply the way humans helped each other survive one more day in a cold and dangerous world. In the primitive world, human life was far more fragile than it is today. The savannah could appear peaceful beneath the sunlight, but when night fell, it became a cold and dangerous place. Beyond the tribe's small fires stretched endless darkness, where predators moved far more easily than humans ever could. Hunger was a constant presence in the lives of your ancestors. A failed hunt could leave the entire group starving for days. Children were especially vulnerable in that world. They were fragile, needed protection for many years, and could hardly survive if left alone for too long. A woman who was pregnant or raising young children also could not easily hunt or defend herself across the vast savannah. She needed food. She needed warmth. She needed others awake beside her when darkness came. And that is why humans began living closer together than almost any other species. When a man returned to the tribe carrying food in his hands, he was not just bringing back meat. He was bringing back another chance for the people he loved to survive the cold season, survive hunger, and survive one more night filled with predators beyond the darkness. When a mother held her child asleep beside a fading fire, it was not only maternal instinct. It was hundreds of thousands of years of evolution trying to keep life alive for one more generation. In the primitive world, loving someone was never simply a private emotion. It was part of survival. And perhaps that is why, even today, deep inside, humans still feel calmer when someone is beside them in the middle of the night. Primitive humans probably never said, I love you the way we do today. But they expressed it through small actions that were sometimes even more important than words. When food was scarce, a person would quietly give the fattier piece of meat to the one they loved. They cracked open large bones to reach the nutrient-rich marrow inside and shared it with each other by hand. In a world where calories determined survival, sharing food with someone was like giving them another chance to stay alive. And perhaps that was one of the oldest forms of care in human history. When night fell, the entire tribe slept close together around a small fire, still glowing faintly. Children slept between their parents for warmth. A hand gently touching the person beside you in the cold darkness could calm the body in a deeply instinctive way. In that primitive world, the warmth of another human body could sometimes truly save your life. Humans are also one of the very few species that spend significant time caring for weak or injured individuals. When someone was wounded after a hunt, the others did not abandon them behind. They cleaned wounds, helped each other walk across the savannah, and stayed beside one another for days until the body recovered. From a purely survival-based perspective, that behavior almost makes no sense in nature. Yet humans have been doing it for hundreds of thousands of years. And perhaps the most primitive image of love was never promises. Perhaps it was one person staying awake through the cold night to keep the fire burning while the other slept beside their child. No one said anything. There was only the soft crackling of fire in the darkness and a silent devotion that has followed humanity through almost its entire existence. In the modern world, humans often think of love as an emotion, something connected to romance, attraction, or feelings deep within the heart. But for most of human history, love probably began from something far more practical. It helped humans survive longer. A human child is more helpless at birth than almost any other animal. It takes many years before it can walk on its own, find food, or protect itself. That meant raising a child was nearly impossible if only one person tried to do everything alone. And that is when human bonding became extremely important. When two people stayed together long enough to raise a child, that child's chances of survival increased dramatically. When an entire tribe cooperated, shared food, and protected one another during the night, the group had a far greater chance of surviving hunger and predators than any lone individual. In the primitive world, intimacy did not only create happiness, it created stability for the entire community. And strangely enough, the human body still carries traces of that world even today. A hug can slow the heartbeat. A gentle hand on the shoulder can calm the nervous system. Simply knowing that someone is beside you during moments of fear can make the brain feel far safer. Perhaps humans did not only evolve to love, we evolved to care for one another. And perhaps that is the deepest reason humans continue to crave intimacy, not only to be desired, but to feel that they are not alone in this world. The human brain does not see connection as just an emotion. Somewhere deep inside, it sees it as safety. When humans hug, touch one another, or lie beside each other in silence, the body begins releasing oxytocin, a chemical that helps people feel more trusting and bonded to one another. The heartbeat slows down. The nervous system becomes calmer. Stress decreases simply because another person is close by. That may sound emotional in the modern world, but in the primitive world, this response carried extremely important survival value. A human who felt safer around others would sleep better, recover better, and panic less when facing danger. And that is why loneliness hurts humans so deeply. Your brain was not designed to live in isolation for too long. For hundreds of thousands of years, being left alone outside the tribe could mean hunger, cold, predators, and death. Perhaps that is why, even today, a single hug can make someone break down in tears after a long period of loneliness. Because deep inside, your body is still reacting the way your ancestors once reacted tens of thousands of years ago, when the presence of another human being was sometimes the only thing standing between a person and the darkness. Modern humans can talk to each other all day without ever truly looking into each other's eyes. We send messages at midnight, leave heart emojis on screens, and know countless details about other people's lives through a few small photos on a phone. Never in human history has connecting with other people been this fast and easy, but perhaps never before have humans also felt this emotionally exhausted. Many people end their days beneath the cold blue light of a phone screen, lying alone in a quiet room while silently scrolling through the lives of hundreds of other people. We talk more than our ancestors ever did, yet we rarely touch each other, rarely truly sit beside one another without being distracted by something else. Meanwhile, tens of thousands of years ago, human intimacy was much simpler. A tribe sleeping close together around a small fire, one person resting their head on another's shoulder during the cold night, a hand touching yours as the darkness outside began to feel frightening. There were no screens, no invisible distance between people sitting beside each other, only warmth, silence, and the feeling of belonging to someone. Perhaps that is what modern humans are missing more than they realize. Not more conversations, not more attention, but the primitive feeling of the body truly believing that it is close to other human beings. And perhaps that is why, despite living in crowded cities and being constantly connected every day, so many people still feel lonely in ways their ancestors rarely experienced around the firelight of their tribe. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans cared for the people they loved through very simple things, not through grand promises or luxuries, just by sharing the best portion of food when the entire tribe was hungry, staying awake through the night to keep the fire from going out, holding each other to survive the cold of the savannah when darkness covered everything, and lying close enough beside one another to know they did not have to face the world alone. Perhaps that is why, even today, the things that make humans feel the most at peace are sometimes still very primitive. A hug after a long day, someone waiting for you to come home, a hand holding yours in silence. Those small things touch an ancient part of the human brain, the part that existed long before cities, phones, or modern lights. And perhaps deep down, love was never only an emotion. Perhaps it has always been the way humans kept each other a little closer, in a world that was once very cold, very dark, and very capable of making people disappear if they were left alone for too long.